Hello, good evening. It's News 360 coming to you live from the News Hub here at Adesawekanda. I am Portia Gabor.
And I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Let's bring you the headlines for the next 1 hour.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal,
EcoBank.
Tonight, police CID retrieves 3 vehicles allegedly stolen by former managing director of EOCO Distilleries, Maxwell Kofi-Juma.
President of the Ghana Bar Association calls for suspension on Chief Justice to be lifted, describing the action as a bad precedent.
Fuel prices expected to inch up by some 2% in the next pricing window starting tomorrow, July 1.
In business news, key developments set to impact pockets of consumers from July 1 from hikes in electricity and insurance tariffs to anticipated adjustments in data packages by telcos.
And on the international front, civil rights groups say at least 7 people have been killed in Togo's protest calling for leader Faure Gnassingbé to step down. We are live around the world on 3news.com. That's our website. We're also streaming on Facebook, and we always love to hear from you on the many stories we have for you tonight.
The news now in detail, and the Police Criminal Investigations Department has confirmed the arrest of Maxwell Kofi-Juma, the former managing director of EOCO Distilleries. 3 vehicles that he is said to have stolen have also been retrieved following allegations of financial misconduct, questionable vehicle acquisition, and others. The CID has also indicated that investigations are actively ongoing concerning Akonta mining, with 1 person arrested.
The former Asokwa Member of Parliament was apprehended on Sunday, June 29th at his residence in Kumasi and later transferred to Accra. This was after a petition sent to the police by EOCO Distilleries in which allegations of financial misconduct and unauthorized sale of company assets were leveled against him. Maxwell Kofi-Juma also faces claims of questionable vehicle acquisitions during his tenure at the state-owned distillery. This is one of the 3 vehicles that Maxwell Kofi-Juma is said to have stolen. Information we have gathered indicates that there are other 2 which currently do not have engines in them, and so they are still parked at the EOCO premises. This one has an engine in it, so it has been brought all the way here to the police headquarters.
Mr. Maxwell Kofi-Juma was arrested based on a complaint that was, or a petition that was submitted to us by the EOCO Distilleries Company Limited. We received a petition to the effect that some vehicles which were the property of that company had been stolen by the said Maxwell Kofi-Juma. Warrants for arrest was properly secured, and that was the basis for which he was arrested, and he's in our custody at the CID headquarters and is assisting with investigation. I must mention that as at this afternoon, we have retrieved 3 vehicles, so the said vehicles that were stolen by him have been retrieved.
On the activities of Akonta Mine, and DCOP Lydia Donko revealed that investigations are actively ongoing with 1 more person arrested.
Chairman Wontumi has visited us a couple of times. He's also actually supposed to be coming back to us sometime this week. Unfortunately, he was ill. His lawyer submitted a letter to us that he was ill, And I believe he's now okay because we have communicated to them that he should be seeing us this week. I must mention that he's not the only one we've arrested or we are investigating. Last week, for example, he had a partner, one Akwoku, who was part of the investigation to do with Akunta mining. He was also arrested here and detained.
1 Ghanaian and 15 Chinese nationals have been arrested in the eastern region at Achim Amenase for engaging in illegal mining. The CID indicated that a total of 76 victims have been rescued, with 7 suspects arrested in connection with a human trafficking case linked to a QNet scheme.
Victims are young, energetic persons aged 17 years and above, both employed and unemployed. Some foreign nationals rescued in Ghana include footballers, artisans, students, etc. While Ghanaians rescued and returned include nurses, teachers, artisans, students in SHS and universities. These victims are lured to pay huge sums of money under the pretext of being recruited into football academies for training and placement into top teams abroad, to be employed in lucrative jobs or as part of processes to travel to Europe or Canada for work.
Through an intelligence-led operation, the police have also foiled a planned robbery and arrested 3 suspects believed to be involved in a conspiracy to rob a gold consignment valued at 1,300,000 cedis. Christian Yale, TV3 News, Police Headquarters, Accra.
Now, the minority in Parliament has strongly criticized the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, over the arrest and bail conditions imposed on Alhaji Abdul Wahab, former CEO of the National Food Buffer Stock Company, who also was the parliamentary candidate for the NPP in the Pusiga constituency in the last elections. The minority described the treatment of Mr. Wahab and his wife as unacceptable and politically motivated, warning against what they say is a growing trend of state institutions being used to settle political scores. According to the minority caucus, EOCO conducted a coordinated arrest of Mr. Wahab and his wife on June 25 in both Accra and Tamale, treating them as though they were fugitives. The couple is currently under investigation for alleged tax evasion, money laundering, and causing financial loss to the state. However, the caucus noted that these are only allegations and no formal charge or charges have been proven in court. What has drawn the minority's sharpest criticism is the bail granted to the couple. Mr. Wahab was given a bail amount of 50 million Ghana cedis with 2 sureties, both of whom must justify the full amount in assets. His wife was granted a bail at a sum of 30 million Ghana cedis with 1 surety required to be justified. Let's turn our attention to one of our headline stories we have for you this evening. And the national president of the Ghana Bar Association, Asiedu-Dartey, has called for a reconsideration of the suspension of Gertrude Saki Tokonu as Chief Justice, noting it sets a bad precedent in the country. Former NPP presidential aspirant Kwabena Japong supported the call. They made the call at the 43rd anniversary remembrance service of the 3 High Court judges who were murdered in 1982.
President of the Ghana Bar Association, Asiedu-Dartey, during the 43rd anniversary commemoration of the 3 murdered High Court judges, affirmed that the judiciary must be insulated from interference to ensure they work effectively. She entreated the government to heed the calls by various entities to reconsider the suspension of Gertrude Saki Tokonu as Chief Justice in the spirit of reconciliation.
They stand for justice, and they should administer justice to all persons, including themselves. We are confident that in the spirit of reconciliation, all the various calls made for a reconsideration of the suspension of the Chief Justice in the circumstances, as it sets a poor precedent, will not go unheeded. We yearn for peace and strive for justice.
Former NPP presidential aspirant and the son of one of the murdered judges, Kwabena Japong, supported the calls for the reconsideration of Tokonu's suspension, noting that the petitions shouldn't have been forwarded in the first place.
These are very minor infractions that should not occasion the removal of a person so important in the governance of our country. And you're not careful, it may constitute a certain assault on the judiciary, which we all, a day like this reminds us of. So it's something that is worrying. I pray and hope that he listens to the appeal made by the Ghana Bar Association, because for me, this shouldn't have started in the first place.
By sharing his message as a guest preacher, Presiding Bishop of the Methodist Church of Ghana, Most Reverend Professor Johnson Kwabena Asamoah Jedu, chastised the Ghana Bar Association for contributing to injustice over the period due to their political leanings.
The tragedies of our time includes the loss of the once dreaded objective prophetic voice of the Ghana Bar Association in our politics in particular. Some of your members have become complicit in the injustice of our generation, with many members of the GBA becoming politically exposed and helping to pursue the agenda of vindictive judgments that have bedeviled our democracies since 1992. So the GBA must itself undertake some surgical introspection to recover, for the benefit of generations to come, that prophetic voice which boldly and fearlessly challenges the forces of injustice in politics, religion, and the law.
Right, so let's interrogate this call or appeal by the GBA president a bit further. And we've been joined by Xavier Kuje, who is the Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Bar Association. Mr. Kuje, good evening. Thank you for joining us on TV3.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity.
We know that this is not the first time. You will recall that at your mid-year meeting, that is the GBA's mid-year meeting, there was a similar call by the GBA for government to reconsider its stance on the suspension of Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice. Some lawyers said that at that meeting, you didn't have the entirety of the bar before concluding or making that call. Can you help us understand the processes that went into this particular decision for a call by the president to reconsider the suspension?
Thank you very much. I will address the concerns raised by the lawyers. You said that not all of them were available. A media conference was meant for every lawyer to be there. The program was advertised. Those who were interested registered and attended. So I don't think that it would be fair for those who did not attend to be criticizing or to be saying that the numbers were too small because nobody asked them not to come. It's a lesson for all of us. Next time when there's a program like that, as many of us as possible should be there. Now, the asking for the suspension to be removed, I don't think is a bad appeal to be made. It's an appeal being made to the president. So it's left to the president to decide whether to remove or to reverse the suspension or not.
But what are the grounds on which you want the president to, suspend the suspension? Because there are those critics who are raising the same issue that if there are legitimate grounds on which the Chief Justice is going through the process, why would you want the president to, reverse a decision? Because she's not even being accused, she's just going through a process. Are you saying we should entirely, when the Chief Justice or anybody in that capacity is undergoing such an investigation, we should suspend it merely because they are the Chief Justice, maybe?
Oh no, we're not saying that. I think these things must be looked at on case-by-case basis. My understanding of the bar president's speech today was that, look, these processes could have still been going on while the Chief Justice remained at post. Maybe when it comes to empaneling judges to hear matters relative to the proceedings going on regarding her, she could recuse herself. So that's my understanding. That look, you ought not to have necessarily suspended her. Yes, the process will still go on.
Right. There are other questions being, posed to the Bar Association, which is that if the president does heed this call, and maybe by tomorrow we hear the president has suspended or lifted the suspension of the Chief Justice, that in itself is setting a certain precedent, wouldn't you agree, where if someone is going through a legal process, we can just make an appeal and then the process is abrogated?
You see, if your question is limited to the bar president's speech today, then I would say no, because the bar president's speech was specific and it's about a suspension. The fact that the president has a discretion to exercise under the Constitution by suspending the Chief Justice, the same way, I think he has that same discretion to reverse it. If it is reversed, it doesn't stop the whole proceedings. It is only the aspect concerning the suspension that would have been reversed. So for me, it will not be setting a precedent that is dangerous because you have a discretion to exercise, and you did. And upon an appeal to you, you decide to say that, okay, I am reversing that process or what I have done. I don't think there is anything dangerous about it.
Right.
Of course, it's an appeal to the president. It is for him to decide whether to heed the appeal or not.
Okay. Mr. Kuje, like you indicated, it's an appeal. We wait to see or hear what the government's reaction will be. Thank you for speaking to us. Xavier Kuje is Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Bar Association.
In more news tonight, fuel prices are expected to inch up by 2% in the next pricing window starting tomorrow, July 1. The Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, COMAC, projects petrol will see a 2% increase, while diesel will climb up by 5%. Liquefied petroleum gas will record a 1% increase in prices. This will be the first time fuel prices will be going up at the pump since February 2025. It is not clear if government will proceed with its intended 1 cedi levy on fuel prices owing to the upward adjustment. Fuel prices stabled selling at $65.79 per barrel after the Iran and Israel exchanged missiles, leading to an increment. Despite the largely stable prices, analysts project an increment across board. Let's now check with the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers and find out their own projections. Duncan Amwa is Executive Director and joins us with more. Duncan, thank you so much for your time. Did your chamber also foresee an increment in tomorrow's window?
The numbers are indicating, yes, a potential increase. That is also because the Iran-Israeli fallout had some impact on the prices of crude, which eventually trickled down to the price of finished product on plant. What that means is that you saw petrol go up by some $49 a metric ton within the window. Diesel did about $97. LPG did about $36. That clearly would lead to one outcome, which is a price adjustment upwards. And so we are not surprised to hear from the chamber that they anticipate prices to go up. The only caution we are delivering is that some of the OMCs should stay their prices, because when it came to prices to have declined, they refused to go down. And I say this advisedly. A company like Total Oil, a company like Goil, for the window that ends 12 midnight today, for a new window to start tomorrow, their prices could have gone down, but they simply couldn't go down due to some other factors that they explained later. And so we'll be expecting some OMCs maybe could go up marginally, but we would also expect the others to have a very stable market outlook, because clearly their prices are already too high.
Can anything be done to mitigate the shocks from the global market?
No, you don't have the buffers, as I have always mentioned, at present. Your refinery is still not up and running. I have heard officials from the refinery suggest that by September, they are hoping to start refining. Once that happens, then you could be internalizing your production a lot better. And then again, you also don't have strategic stock as we speak. So products that you could have stored maybe a month or two ago to offset the current price escalations, you don't have that buffer. So it's difficult to at present say that we can do anything about these price shocks that we saw due to the Iran-Israeli conflict. That would mean that the Ghanaian government would need to pay a very close attention to these two facilities, because once they are up and running, once we reposition them or reset them, we can't be able to mitigate such price surges or shocks when they occur the next time. But at present, there's very little we can do about them.
Duncan, thank you so much for your time. And Duncan Amwa is Executive Director of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers.
On to some other stories now. The Chief Executive Officer of Gold Board, Sammy Jemfi, says the June 21 deadline mandating purchase of gold from a central source would not be extended. He cautioned persons who have not applied for the board's license to do so or face the full rigors of the law.
After its establishment, the Ghana Gold Board got a new law. Persons who trade in gold can no longer use the PMMC and Ministry of Lands licenses. Those who trade in gold are now to acquire the new Gold Board's license. The deadline for acquiring the new license, which had been extended a number of times, finally elapsed on June 21, and Chief Executive Officer Sammy Jemfi is emphatic on implementing the law.
Effective immediately, only a Ghanaian who has gone through the lay-down due process and has been issued with a license by the Ghana Gold Board can legally engage in gold trading in Ghana. What that simply means is that if you are not licensed by the Ghana Gold Board, you are committing a crime. Anybody who wants to trade in gold can apply for a gold board license at any time of their choice. And once you apply, we will consider your application in a spirit of fairness and transparency.
He said so far 240 licenses have been approved, adding in 6 months they have been able to export 50 tons of gold from the small-scale sector alone, exceeding that of the large scale for the first time.
On that day, the President will outdoor this new security task force, who have the same powers as police officers and who have been given a special and specific mandate to help the states combat and defeat the phenomenon of gold smuggling and price disruptions that deprive the state of the needed revenue, the needed profits, the needed forex for our economy and the development of our country.
The CEO also mentioned that on July 8, a task force will be inaugurated to help the state deal with the canker of gold smuggling.
By the 21st June deadline, we had received over 300 applications for the buyer license tier 1. This month alone, we've brought in nothing less than $900 million in forex for the Bank of Ghana. And so if the Bank of Ghana has enough forex liquidity for the market and for government obligations, and the CD is strong and stable, it is because of some of these things that the Gold Board is doing. We hope to sustain this. You know that in the whole of 2024, gold exports for the whole year stood at 66 tons.
He said measures such as technology, incentive packages and whistleblower system have been put in place to ensure members of the task force are not compromised.
Let's now go to the Ashanti region, where the Subin and Jimmy rivers, which serve communities in the region, continue to be polluted by illegal miners. Farmlands have also not been spared by the devastation at Atetem, a community in the Adansa Square district. William Evans-Inkum has filed this report.
Devastation, forest ripped apart, farms destroyed.
So this acres of cocoa farm has been lowered to this. And that is the situation here at Atetem, a mining community in the Adanse Asokwa districts of the Ashanti region.
Water bodies blocked and barely polluted.
So what we see here is a region of two sides. The clean Jimmy River, which confluence, and this is an artificial confluence with a polluted one. And you can see this place has been blocked. So the river can no longer flow, but it is confluencing with rather a polluted one.
A sight of hopeless for once a verdant valley. The suspect walk with no guilt, no mercy for the environment, no consideration for the future. On our last visit to Atetem, behind their basic school was a death trap. In less than 72 hours, the miners have taken steps to reclaim the land.
Some have started reclaiming the land, a path of recovery perhaps. And this is a typical example.
The administrator of the Minerals Development Fund, Hannah Louisa Bisiu, says her task force remains resolute.
In as much as the president, the ministers, from lands and natural resources, interior minister, defense minister, all the stakeholders, we want to fight this.
William Evans Sinkum, TV3 News, Atetem.
The Ghana Medical Association has urged all health workers to activate enhanced infection prevention and control practices and the use of personal protective equipment in all clinical encounters. The caution follows the increasing cases of Mpox in the country. The Ghana Medical Association leadership in a release says it has noted with concern the increasing cases of Mpox being reported in the country, with the concentration of the cases in the Western and Western North regions. As of June 25, 133 cases had been confirmed, with males reporting the majority of confirmed cases. The Medical Association in the statement also encouraged the public to continue to improve hygiene practices, including hand washing and the use of sanitizers. It commended the Health Ministry, the Ghana Health Service, and other key actors for measures undertaken to curtail the spread of the disease so far, but called for public education to be stepped up. So this is just a caution for you watching and listening at the moment. Be careful, Mpox is in the system.
Now, workers under the Divisional Executive Council of the Public Services Workers Union at the National Identification Authority have finally returned to work. This follows the union's suspension of its indefinite strike. Prior to that, most NIA offices had been closed as a result of the strike. Judith Brown reports.
After 4 whole days of a strike action by the Divisional Executive Council of the Public Services Workers Union under the National Identification Authority, workers are finally back to work. Well, right here at the NIA office in Accra, they offer services including the new registration, updating of records and replacement of cards. Well, work here is premium, meaning that it's expedited or express in nature. And due to the strike, workers here were not able to work at all because work here is in stages. And since about 70% of workers here make up the PSWU, they were unable to work completely and the offices were shut. And some customers here say that during the week they tried getting these services and they went through frustration.
It actually affected me. I was quite disturbed because I had a girl who finished GHS. She just finished and I wanted her to join the President's Apprenticeship Program. And unfortunately, they told me without Ghana card, she cannot even start. So I was worried. I was running helter-skelter. I went to our district. They said to take some days, and I wanted an instant one. So I went to Gulf House. They were not there. I had to come here. They were on strike. I came twice. They were on strike. Fortunately, they said today they were here, but we suffered. I went to Gulf House with this girl. We came to Accra. We walked here. We were just roaming around, but thank God today we are here.
Staff under the Public Sector Workers Union with the NIA declared the indefinite strike over the non-payment
a 20% operational support allowance. But after meetings with the National Labour Commission and leadership of the PSWU, the Labour Commission declared the strike illegal while ordering members to return to work. Divisional Chairman of the Public Services Workers Union at the National Identification Authority, Francis Bankfudeme, explained in an interview with TV3 that the union has now reached an agreement with management.
We have been able to secure some levels of agreement with management where we have an agreed upon roadmap in ensuring that the 20% allowance, which is not in doubt or in contention, is paid within a given period of time.
For now, it is left to be seen whether management will perform its side of the bargain. Judith Brown, TV3 News.
Just live on TV3, this is News 360. Stay with us. We have the latest in the world of business for you after this.
I love President Charcoal. Why? When there's so many other charcoal toothpaste.
The business segment is brought to you by MTN. Touch concentrated perfume.
Welcome to News 360 on TV3. Michael Obodu. Michael, you're looking zapper. Is this something out of the business community, maybe? Always trying to look exquisite?
We try.
What's in business?
Well, you know, July 1, a lot of things are happening from the energy sector to data and the likes. We've chronicled all of that and brought you a summary on what to expect.
Sharp. All right, let's get into it.
All right, and hello there. Good evening. Welcome to the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Before I bring you our top story, now the latest report on Ghana's slum and informal settlements has revealed that a significant portion of urban households, approximately 2.2 million or 46.1%, are living in conditions classified as slums. These findings underscore pressing challenges related to basic amenities and housing quality across the nation's urban landscape.
The report, developed from the 2021 Population and Housing Census by the Ghana Statistical Service, identifies several key indicators contributing to these slum conditions, including a critical lack of improved drinking water, inadequate sanitation facilities, insufficient living space, and the prevalence of non-durable housing structures. The findings are a stark reminder of the persistent housing and infrastructure deficits in Ghana's rapidly urbanizing areas. It highlights that nearly 30.7% of the nation's population resides in slums, a figure government statistician Dr. Alhassan Idrisu termed a wake-up call.
Prioritize slum upgrading in budgets. Improve access to water, sanitation, and housing where it is most needed. For the private sector, it is an opportunity not just for financial returns, but for lasting impacts. Think affordable housing, accessible utilities, and inclusive finance.
Deputy Government Statistician Dr. Faustina Frimpong Engwa underscored the fact that conditions contribute to various social and economic challenges.
When we are able to address the sanitation condition, a whole more than forfeits of the households in urban areas will move out of slum characteristics.
Head of Civil Service Dr. Evans Agredako, at the launch of the report, noted it is expected to offer comprehensive data to inform decision-making and drive targeted interventions aimed at improving urban living conditions.
Not only as a milestone in our statistical development journey, but also as an evidence to the enduring value of data to good democratic governance. Data is critical, and I tell people that you are as good as the quality of data that you have.
The report empowers decision makers to formulate evidence-based policies, foster community partnerships, and build inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable cities, aligning with Sustainable Development Goal 11.
Now, Ghanaians are set to experience significant economic shifts starting tomorrow, July 1, 2025, as several key government policies and tariff adjustments take effect. These changes involve the rollout of the much-anticipated 24-hour economy, substantial tax reforms, and increases in the cost of essential services and commodities.
Ghanaians are bracing for multiple price adjustments from July 1. The PURC is set to increase electricity tariffs, citing rising production costs. Fuel prices are also expected to go up, with petrol rising by 2% and diesel by 5%. Duncan Amoa is Executive Secretary of COPEC Ghana.
For the window coming, petrol moved from $691 a metric to about $740 a metric ton, $49 variable. Diesel did $625 to about $722, which is about $97 variable, variance.
In the insurance sector, a new 15% VAT will apply to non-life policies excluding motor. Stephen Yebua-Kwatin of the Insurance Brokers Association, IBAG, reveals this could raise premiums for businesses and households.
If you introduce VAT, on it, it becomes disincentive to people. And, naturally, most people will not even sometimes buy insurance if it's not compulsory, like motor vehicle. So for the other lines, it's not going to be easy for us.
Meanwhile, telecom firms are offering more value on data bundles, a move the Chamber of Commerce CEO, Mark Beduabuaji, says will support digital growth.
All these factors that you have mentioned, they affect cost of production differently. And once some of them goes up, obviously you need to look at it. You are saying that it's just 2.45%. But for a company that is using a lot of energy, there's still companies.
Okay.
This 2.45% is not more money.
But CAS International's Apia Kusi Adumako is urging regulators to prioritize consumer protection as the cost of living continues to rise.
I think we need to be able to look at the totality of the problem, the telecom sector. Currently, MTN has become very, very big SMP, significant market player. What it means is that MTN could even afford to sell 100 gig for 100 Ghana cedis, but the law will not permit MTN to do so.
MTN Ghana has brought this year's edition of the 21 Days of Yellow Care initiative to a close. This marks a significant milestone in the company's commitment to empowering communities through digital inclusion and skills training.
The 21 Days of Yellow Care initiative has once again demonstrated MTN Ghana's commitment to driving meaningful change in the communities it serves. The company looks forward to continuing its effort to promote digital inclusion and empowerment. With this initiative, individuals are trained in entrepreneurial and digital skills, empowering them to build businesses and improve their livelihoods. It also focused on M-Care registration for artisans. The Chief Corporate Services and Sustainability Officer, Ajua Efriye-Weafe, addressed the media.
This year we were connecting at the roots and we were using through digital tools. And so we partnered with a number of organizations to be able to go across the country to train the youth in digital skills, in mobile phone repair, just things that could give them an immediate livelihood. Across the country, our employees were out there ensuring that when we talk about digital inclusion, there are times in which we have to actually go to deprived communities to make sure that we are spreading the word and we are spreading opportunities so that they can all be brought in.
She also announced that MTN Ghana has to launch a digital track to provide training to youth in the rural areas.
MTN will be using to train the youth in digital skills. So this is a mobile track. So we'll be going from place to place. And it's a continuation of our Yellow Care campaign. And we're connecting at the roots. So this DigiTrack is going to be going to underserved areas where people who would ordinarily not have access to, these kinds of facilities, so that we'll be able to train them.
The initiative saw collaborations with local communities and stakeholders to develop practical solutions that are responsive to local context and inclusive of those most often excluded from the digital progress.
We'll bring you updates now from the currency and the commodities market. And that'll be all for the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Up next is sports.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360 with me, Oreku Ampofo. Ghana Premier League giants Heart of Oak has officially unveiled Asiedu-Dartey as their new head coach until 2027. The former Black Stars assistant coach has penned down a 2-year deal with the Phobians. My colleague Mutala Yakubu was there and filed this report.
Heart of Oak have officially unveiled Asiedu-Dartey as their head coach for the 2025-2026 season. He takes over from Abubakar Ouattara, who has been elevated to the special advisory role for the board. And now Asiedu-Dartey signed a 2-year deal with the Phobians, and he came in with 2 technical men. That is Abdul Ghazali, who was the first team coach for Baseke Holy Stars last season. Now he is an assistant coach to Asiedu-Dartey, and also a former goalkeepers trainer of Ashanti, Najawi Isa, has also joined the technical staff. Now remember that Asiedu-Dartey is a former Ghana Premier League winner with Ashanti, where he won it twice, so he'll be hoping to replicate that with the Phobias.
I try to understudy the vision of the board, which is the direction of the club, and so I bring along people that I believe and trust that we will be able to institute, and that is why I keep using we. I cannot do the work alone.
This weekend when they come up against Asante Kotoko in the President's Cup. He says that despite it being a President Cup, he will approach that game with all the seriousness, and he hopes that the fans will be at the stadium to support the Phobias.
You never will underestimate, matches involving Kotoko and Accra House of Folk. And I believe that every coach who sits in understands what they see. And then I believe that we will continuously build our team, and then we will come and put up a very strong display. As I said, we'll come with the right energy, we'll come with the right effort, and we'll come with a very comprehensive performance. And then at the end of the day, we are very positive.
Mutala Yakubu from the Accra Heart of Oak Commercial Center, TV3.
Now let's cross over to House of Oak's rivals, where Ashanti Regional Minister Frank Amakohene has thrown his weight behind the Porcupine Warriors ahead of their clash against their rivals, Heart of Oak. His comments come after he visited the team's training center early on Monday. Kotoko will face Heart on Sunday at the Accra Sports Stadium for the President's Cup.
Sunday is a very significant match for us. It's a President's Cup. I mean, Kotoko versus Hearts. And when it comes to Kotoko versus Hearts, it should tell you that it's the soul of the country. And for that matter, Kotoko being the soul of Ashanti region, we need to provide them all the support they can get so that they'll be able to make us proud, God willing, on Sunday. And prior to that, the Greater Accra Regional Minister had actually thrown out the challenge already. So there is a home match for her. But we want to assure her that and Accra is also our hope. So we are going there in our numbers and with the right support for the team. We are very confident that we're going to win the President's Cup come Sunday.
Remember that the President's Cup is much later during the week. In the meantime, you can get some more sports updates on our social media handles at 3SportsGH, especially the ongoing Club World Cup, which is currently seeing the first half action between Inter Milan and Fluminense go in favor of the Brazilians, who lead by 1-0 after an early goal from Kano. You can get updates on that match as well as matches later on social media at 3SportsGH. My name is Oreku Ampofo.
3 Entertainment.
Well, good evening. Let's get into some entertainment news updates here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko. Now, the selection process for the final 16 contestants in this year's Ghana's Most Beautiful pageant is gradually shaping up. Now, past queens of the award-winning culture-oriented reality show auditioned hopefuls to reduce numbers before the final selection stage. What's next after today's grand audition? Well, we'll find out.
2025 Ghana's Most Beautiful would have 16 contestants, each representing a region of Ghana, to compete for the coveted crown. But the decision of who out of the many hopefuls will make it to the competition has been a tough one. A group of poised and intelligent contestants were shortlisted at auditions in Kumasi and Accra.
So we had quite a number of girls come and audition. They were eloquent, they were beautiful, they were intelligent. These are some of the things that we look out for. And so we got some girls in Kumasi, we've gotten some girls in Accra, and we are at the grand audition stage.
Monday's grand audition, which is the second to last stage in a series of auditions, saw judges engage shortlisted contestants on culture and ways to preserve attractions in their regions. They also shared their thoughts on the impact of enhancing women's participation in decision-making within traditional settings. Judges further narrowed down the initial pool of hopefuls. Shortlisted contestants will undergo medical evaluations as part of preparations for the competition.
These ladies will go through a series of medical checks just to make sure they are strong, healthy, to go through the process of the 3 months competition, just to make sure we are having strong, healthy ladies for the season.
And now to some more stories. The judges of GMB's grand audition have emphasized the high standards for this year's competition.
Today's audition was quite amazing. Some of them came prepared because every year the bar is always set very high. We ended up choosing the best out of those who came because we want to make sure that the standard doesn't drop. So this year, everyone should look out for the contestants. In person, I was looking out for ladies who are willing to learn, contribute their culture to the development of this country, most importantly, and ladies who are also outstanding in everything they do. So a little bit of this, a little bit of beauty, a little bit of intelligence, who have holistically the definition of being a queen. And I must say that we achieved that purpose today.
We're looking for a smart, we're looking for an intelligent young lady, we're looking for a confident young lady, but above all, we're looking for ladies who know about their culture, who know about where they're coming from, and who are able to give Ghanaians a show. And I believe that the young ladies we've selected today possess all those qualities and they're ready.
And that's how we wrap up on the entertainment news segment here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko.
Thank you, Noella. Coming up, international news.
Civic rights groups say at least 7 people have been killed during a crackdown on protesters who are calling for Togo's leader, Faure Gnassingbe, to step down and release political prisoners. 7 bodies were recovered from rivers in the capital city Lome, according to a coalition which accuses security forces and militias for committing abuses. The Togolese government has denied these deaths were linked to last week's demonstrations. It is now threatening legal action against the protest organizers, calling the protests a campaign of disinformation and hatred that was orchestrated from abroad. A street vendor shot in the head by police during protests 2 weeks ago has died a day after being declared brain dead in hospital, his family says. Boniface Kariuki was shot as police cracked down on a protest in the capital, Nairobi, against the death in detention of blogger and teacher Albert Ojwang, 31. Kariuki, a mask vendor, was shot at close range on June 17 and later admitted to the main public referral hospital in Nairobi for treatment. He spent nearly 2 weeks on a life support machine before his family were told by doctors that his heart was still beating, but his brain had ceased to function. Doctors had carried out several operations, but some bullet fragments were reportedly still lodged in his brain. News that he was brain dead had sparked further public anger over alleged police brutality, with increasing demands for justice.
And that's how we bring the bulletin to an end. Thank you so much for watching. I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey.
And I am Portia. Gabor. Do join Alfredo Cancer at 10 p.m. for Ghana Tonight. Good evening.